Hello, and welcome to the demonstration. In this demonstration, we'll be going through the virtual reality features available in Chief Architect and how you can incorporate virtual reality into your design business. We're going to start off the demonstration by discussing what is virtual reality and how is it different from reality and how is virtual reality defined within the building industry. We're then going to jump into Chief Architect desktop software and see how you can export 360-degree panoramic renderings, interactive 3D viewer models, which you can view on our free mobile app, and use Chief Architect with high-tech virtual reality headsets. We will then discuss how you can use these different virtual reality features within your design business. So let's get started. Before we define virtual reality and how it's used within the building industry, we first need to define reality and how reality is present in the building industry. Reality is described as what it sounds like, which is what's real and actually exists today. It's that home as it is currently built or before a remodel is started, and that it's tangible and you can physically step into and look around at the design that was already built. Virtual reality, on the other hand, is the ability to experience anything that does not exist today. In the building industry, virtual reality is used before anything is built or remodeled, which allows a homeowner or client to visualize, interact with, and provide feedback on a design of a home or room before any real work is started. And this assists you as the designer in ensuring that the client's expectations are met and that your client is satisfied. And Chief Architect has developed several platforms for delivering a virtual reality experience of your designs creating in Chief to your end customers, starting with 360 panoramic images, interactive 3D viewer models, and then immersive virtual reality headset experiences. So let's get started by taking a look at 360-degree panoramic images. So here I am over at chiefarchitect.com, and the first virtual reality platform we're going to go over is the 360 Panoramic Renderings. You can get to this page by typing in 360 into the search bar in the top right hand corner. And if we scroll down slightly on our screen below, we'll have an example of a 360 panoramic rendering. Notice that when I hover over the screen, my mouse turns into a hand that I can then left click to navigate my view. I can make this full screen by pressing the full screen button in the bottom right hand corner. This is a 360-degree spherical image of a scene created in Chief Architect. Essentially what a 360-degree spherical photo is it's 6 photos stitched together into one so that you can see all 6 sides of a scene. These 360 images can be created in many rendering techniques in Chief Architect, including ray tracing, which produces a photorealistic image of what the actual home will look like. In this scene we have our kitchen, our dining room, and our living room right next to each other, and we can just use the left click on our mouse to understand how these rooms are going to transition together and how this space is going to flow. You can put these 360 images on your website so anyone visiting your website can understand the type of work that you do, and you can also send these 360 images directly to your customers with a link that they can open up and understand the design that you're presenting to them. Additionally, you can open up the design on a mobile device and place the mobile device in a VR headset such as the Chief VR goggles. And you can physically take these VR goggles and place them up to your eyes and physically look around to visualize the design. And if you're interested in getting a pair of the Chief VR goggles, you can get them by going to Products and then down to Add-on Products. So next, let's transition over to Chief Architect desktop software and take a look at how to create a 360-degree panoramic rendering and save it to your Chief Architect cloud account and then send it to a client or then embed it on your website. So here I am in Chief Architect desktop software, and I happen to be in Chief Architect Premier, but everything I'm doing you can do in Chief Architect Interiors. And I have an existing file open which happens to be a remodeling project I've been working on. In this project I've drawn the existing space, remodeled the kitchen, and added a dining room. The first step to creating a 360 image to assist the homeowner in understanding the space is to create a 3D view. You can do so by going to your 3D camera tools at the top of your toolbar and using the full or the floor cameras. I already have a 3D view created, so I'm just going to click on this tab to open the view. The second step in creating a high quality 360 image is to edit your camera to the desired rendering technique. You can change your rendering technique through the Rendering Techniques drop-down in the toolbar at the top or by editing your camera. I'm going to change it through the Edit Camera dialog because there are other changes I also want to include in this render, such as adding shadows. So I'm just going to press the Edit Camera button in our toolbar, and then here you can give your camera a name, change the rendering technique, and I'm just going to change it from our standard render to our physically based render, which is a new rendering technique added in Chief Architect X10, which is similar to ray tracing but in real time. I'm then going to opt to show shadows, show reflections, show bloom, and edge smooth our render when it's idle. Another factor in creating a high quality 360 image is your lighting. Currently the lighting is set to automatically illuminate a maximum of 8 lights, but I'm going to change this to a lighting set I've created called All On, which has all my lights in the model turned on. And the ability to create lighting sets is a new feature that was added to version X10. And the third important factor in creating a high quality render is to make sure the camera's height above the floor is in a good position. This could mean raising or lowering the camera if, for example, you were trying to get the camera close to the real eye level of the client. For this scene, I'm happy with the camera height as it is nicely showing our kitchen scene, so I'm going to press OK, and our changes are going to come into effect. So there our scene has re-rendered, and you can see how that new physically based rendering technique has added some nice detail to the reflections on our countertop and our stainless steel throughout the design. If you wanted to export this scene as a 360 panoramic image in the ray trace rendering technique, you can do so by going up to the ray trace tools, click edit, and then make sure you have this option for generate as 360 panorama selected, and just keep in mind that it's going to take quite a while to generate a 360 panoramic ray trace, since it has to take 6 separate ray traces of the front, back, left, right, top and bottom of the scene and stitch them together. We're going to X out of this and export this physically based render that we've created to our Chief Architect Cloud account as a 360-degree panoramic photo. So to export it, I'm going to go up to File, Export, Export 360 Panorama. Next, you can edit the photo pixel size to create a higher resolution image. So I'm going to edit it to the maximum pixel size, which is going to be 8192 by 4096. And then next you can save it to your local computer, which is always a good idea to save a backup of it. So I'm going to click Browse and give our file a name. And then next, check this box to save it to my Chief Architect Cloud account, and if you want, you can give it a description. Next, I'm going to press OK, and then log into my Chief Architect Cloud account, which is going to be the same as your online account. Press OK, and then the 360 render export process will begin. Once the 360 export is complete, you will get this message letting you know that the 360 image is ready for viewing and sharing. So next, let's go over to chiefarchitect.com and take a look at how you can manage your 360 images from your online account. So here I'm already logged into my online account, and you can access your online account through our website by clicking My Account in the top right hand corner and entering your account credentials. To access your 360 images that you've exported to the cloud, click on this option right here that says Manage Your 360 Panoramas. Here you can see any 360 panoramas that you've exported to your online cloud account, and if you've saved any 360 panoramas to your local computer, you can upload them to your cloud account through this option right here. Under our active panoramas, we can see that panoramic image that we've just exported. We can see a preview of it, the name we gave it, the description, the date it was created, sharing options, and the ability to deactivate it from our online account. Under sharing, we can click on this option View to immediately start viewing our 360 panoramic image, and in the bottom right hand corner I'm just going to make it full screen, and then left clicking on my mouse I can pan around our image that we've exported. So you can see how this 360 panoramic image turned out pretty well, and if I'm happy with it, I can send it to a client or embed it on my website. So let's take a look at how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and press Escape to exit full screen mode and just click off to the side. You can also exit the image by clicking the X in the top right hand corner. And the first thing we need to do to share this panorama with someone is make this image public, and we can do so by clicking this option for Make Public right here. And you'll notice that we now have an option for Share, and then we can once again make it private again. Clicking Share, you'll see that we have a link that we can send to someone, an email that we can copy, and if we click on this option for Send Email, it's going to open the default email program on our computer, pre-populate it, and you can just enter in your client's name and send that photo off. You can also press copy and paste it into an email service such as Gmail or Yahoo. And you can also take the source code and pass it along to whoever manages your website, and they can embed this 360 panoramic image on your website, just like we have some examples on our website. If we go back to the direct link option, click copy, go to a new tab, and then right click and press paste, we can see what the image will look like that the client will be receiving. Here you can see the name that we gave the image and the description that we assigned to the image. And once again, you can make it full screen through this option right here. If you or the client are viewing a 360 image on a mobile device, you can view the design by physically rotating and tilting the device. Furthermore, if the 360 image is being viewed on a phone like I am here, you can enter the virtual reality mode by tapping the headset button in the bottom toolbar. Place the phone in a VR headset, such as the Chief goggles available on our website. Place the goggles to your eyes, and physically look around to fully engulf yourself in the design. It's a really fun way to view the rendering and understand what the design will look like. You can also upload 360 images to many websites and social media outlets such as Facebook. On my desktop, I have that 360 image we earlier saved to my local machine, and if we open it up, you can see it looks warped, and so we need a special viewer to view the image. Many websites, including our website, automatically recognize when an image is a 360 image, so next let's take a look at how to add a 360 image to Facebook. I'm just going to pull over another tab where I'm already logged into my Facebook account, and I'm just going to click to write a new post and drag and drop that photo into the post field, and you can see how Facebook automatically recognizes this photo as a 360 image. And I'm going to give the post a description and then reposition where I want this 360 image's initial view to be, and then go ahead and publish it. Scrolling down on the page, you can see where the image was posted, and you can click and drag your mouse in the photo to look around. And if you are viewing Facebook on a mobile device, you can once again look around the design by moving the device. Let's go ahead and close out of Facebook and talk about the next virtual reality feature in Chief Architect, which is the 3D viewer. The 3D viewer is very different than a 360 panoramic image. With the 3D viewer, you're interacting with actual Chief Architect models, whereas with a 360 panorama, you're interacting with just a static image. Over on Chief Architect's website, we have more information about the 3D viewer, and you can access free downloads for the 3D viewer as well. You can access this page by going to Products, and then down to Chief Architect 3D viewer. If we scroll down a little bit on the page, you can see some example 3D viewer models. Just like with 360 panoramas, you can make this 3D viewer model full screen by pressing the full screen button in the bottom right hand corner. You can see that we have a couple of different viewing modes. I'm currently in an overview, and if I left click on my mouse, I can rotate around the model. Right clicking allows me to pan back and forth. And using the scroll wheel on my mouse allows me to zoom in and out. You can also enter room view, which is more of a first-person point of view, and you can now see that I have joysticks on either side of my screen. The joystick on the left will move my camera into the model. And the joystick on the right will rotate our camera so that we can look around the model. If you are viewing the model on a mobile device, you will also have more advanced controls called Sojourn, which allow you to more personally interact with the model. So next, let's switch over to the program and go through how to optimize a plan for export to the 3D viewer, how to manage and share your 3D viewer models, and how to view a 3D viewer model in a web browser or a mobile device. Here I've already got a Chief Architect plan open, and to export it to the 3D viewer, I'm going to go up to File, Export, Export Chief Architect 3D Viewer File. Next, you'll need to log into your Chief Architect account. Once logged in, you can give the plan a new name, add a description, specify which cameras you want to export, which is a new feature available with Chief Architect X10. And you can see the surface count and the texture size. To optimize the file, we're worried about the surface count and the texture size. A good plan file will have a surface count of no more than 500,000 surfaces and a texture size around 50 megabytes. So let's go ahead and reduce the surface count. To do this, I'm going to cancel out of this box. And then next we're going to reduce the surface count by turning off some layers within this plan. Layers in your 3D view that are good candidates to turn off for the export are layers that are non-essential to the view you're trying to communicate with your client or with your subcontractors. So for example, I might not need this terrain view, so I can simply select our terrain, go to the object layer properties, and then turn off our terrain perimeter layer and press OK. Pressing spacebar, you can see that my surface count is still over 1 million surfaces, so I'm going to have to reduce this file quite a bit. And one efficiency feature you might use to quickly recognize and turn off layers is the Active Layer Display Options side window. So to use this side window, I'm going to go up to View and select Active Layer Display Options. Now I can simply select objects in my plan, see the layer in the side window, and turn them off. So there I've turned off our road layer. Next we're going to turn off our curbs. These trees are non-essential to our view, so we're going to turn them off as well. And then let's turn off our fence next. So there we've got some good layers already turned off, but you can still see that our surface count is over 1 million. You might have objects in your plan that are taking up quite a bit of surfaces, so these objects are good candidates to turn off that layer for. If I select this car over in the garage and open the symbol down in our toolbar, we can see that this object has a surface count of almost 35,000 faces. So the layer that this car is on is a good layer to turn off. So I'm going to go ahead and press cancel out of this and then turn off our layer that it's on. And then next I'm going to turn off our exterior plants that we have throughout the plan. And then let's go ahead and turn off our exterior furniture as well. And just by doing that, you can see that we've reduced our file size to almost 800,000 surfaces. So now that we've turned off a lot of our exterior layers, let's turn off some objects on the interior of the plan. So we're just going to use our scroll wheel on the mouse and zoom in. And I'm going to select this couch, since it's a furniture item and not essential to understanding the structure, and just turn off the display of this layer. And then next you can see we have some accessories throughout the plan. So these are also good layers to turn off. And there I've selected the cabinet, but if we select over here, we're going to turn off that furniture interior accessories layer. So you can see that our surface count is now below 500,000 surfaces. And one other trick for recognizing layers that are good candidates to turn off is that we're not showing any sort of framing view in this plan, so we could turn off any non-essential framing layers. So let's go back to our Active Layer Display Options. And we're just going to scroll down to our framing layers, and you can see that we do have some beam layers turned on. You can see that one is called Floor Beams Decorative, and we do want some of these layers turned on because they are going to be essential to the model and the view that we're trying to communicate. However, if we look at our framing wall layer, we don't necessarily need to show this layer, so let's go ahead and turn it off. Alright, now that we've minimized our surface count to a manageable amount, let's go ahead and re-export it. So we're going to go to File, Export, Export Chief Architect 3D Viewer File, and then next you can give it a description, maybe low surface count or kitchen option 1 would be a good description. We can see that our surface count is reduced, our texture size is reduced, and now we can specify any cameras that we want to export to the 3D viewer. So once again, this is a feature that became available in Chief Architect X10, and you can specify which cameras you want to use so that when you're viewing the model either on the tablet or in our web browser, you can quickly jump between the different camera views that you choose to export. And you can also specify which camera will be the initial view when you open the model. So once you have your cameras that you want to export selected, press OK, and then you press OK and the export process will start. And once the export is complete, you'll get this message letting you know that you can now manage your models in your online Chief Architect account, and you can view the model in our free mobile app or in a web browser, and you can also send the model to clients or subcontractors. If you're going to be exporting models to the 3D viewer on a regular basis, you may consider setting up a 3D viewer export layer set. You can also set up other layer sets to show very specific views, such as a framing set in this example, that you might send to a contractor or to an engineer who's going to be working with you on the project. Over on our website at chiefarchitect.com, there's a knowledge base article for optimizing a Chief Architect plan for the 3D viewer, and there's even a layer set that you can download and use for exporting 3D viewer models. So next, let's take a look at how to manage, view, and share 3D viewer models through your online account. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the top of the screen, and in the top right hand corner click on My Account, where I'm already logged into my online account. And to manage your 3D viewer models, you're simply going to click on this link right here, Manage Your 3D Viewer Models. And you can see that model that we exported, and this dialog is very similar to the dialog for managing and sharing 360 panoramic images. We have the model name, the model description, the date, sharing options, and the ability to deactivate it. You can have 99 active models at any given time, and you can simply deactivate models to free up some space. And if you would like more than 99 active models, you can contact Chief Architect Sales to increase your storage options. We can view this model simply by clicking on View. And you'll notice that we once again have the exact same user interface that we were demoing earlier, with joysticks to navigate through the model or the ability to view the model from an overview. Let's go ahead and close out of the model, and if we click on Make Public, we can once again share this model with other people. And just like with 360 panoramic images, you have a direct link you can send to someone. You have the email option, which will either open the default email program on your computer where you can send an email, or make a copy of this email that you can put into some place like Gmail or Yahoo. And this email is going to be exactly the same as the 360 panoramic option, except for it's also going to have instructions on how to download the free mobile app and the share code you can use to activate this model on a mobile device. And we'll take a closer look at the 3D Viewer mobile app here in a second. And the last option is the ability to take the source code for the model and embed it on your website so that anyone who visits your website can interact with the model and get an understanding for the type of work that you do or services your business may offer. If at any point in time you want to revoke someone's access to the model, you can simply click on this option that says Make Private, and anyone who has downloaded the model will no longer be able to view it. So next, let's take a look at the free iOS and Android app. If you as a Chief Architect user have downloaded the app, any 3D viewer models that you've exported will be available for downloading and viewing once you log into your Chief Architect account. If you have sent your client the email with info on how to access the model, they will first download the free app, enter the share code, and then they can view the model. So next, I'm just going to switch over to my iPad and tap on the app to launch it. When you first launch the app, you'll have the green cube in the middle of the screen indicating that you currently do not have any models loaded. In the sidebar off to the left-hand side of the screen, you'll have the Models panel where you can view sample models, view your saved models after you log into your Chief Architect account, or activate a 3D viewer model share code. Let's go ahead and log into my Chief Architect account and take a look at a model that I've exported out of Chief Architect desktop software and made available for viewing. So I'm going to tap on Saved, tap on Login, and enter my Chief Architect account credentials. Once I'm logged into my Chief Architect account, I can view my models that are activated and available for me to download it, and download them by tapping the cloud icon with the down arrow. Let's go ahead and download the Breckenridge model that you see here. Once the model is downloaded, I can open it up by tapping the folder icon or delete it by tapping the trash can icon. Let's go ahead and open up the model, and once the model is open, you'll notice in the sidebar on the left-hand side that I'm now on the View panel where I have more viewing options. Here I can see the model name, the last time the model was modified, view any saved cameras that I've elected to export with the model, which is a feature if you've exported the model from Chief Architect version X10, and we'll go over this more in a minute. Use the cross-section slider to view the model from different cutting planes, or change the render quality from low definition to high definition. Let's go ahead and change the render quality to high definition. To increase our screen size, let's close the sidebar by tapping the circle button with the arrow in it at the top of the screen. Next, you'll notice that in the bottom center of the screen I have a dock with different viewing modes, including a floor plan, a first-person room view with interactive soldering controls, and a 3D overview, which we are currently in. If you are viewing the model on a phone instead of a tablet, this dock will be located in the sidebar on the left-hand side of the screen and will include a fourth mode for virtual reality, allowing you to place the phone in a VR headset such as Google Cardboard and look around your view and browse between different saved camera views. This virtual reality mode is also available if you've exported the model from Chief Architect version X10. In the 3D overview, I can rotate my view by placing one finger on the screen and moving it around. I can zoom in or out by placing two fingers on the screen and contracting or expanding them. And I can pan my view by placing two fingers on the screen and moving them in tandem from side to side. And at any time I can refresh my overview to a clean starting point by tapping the refresh button on the left-hand side of the bottom dock. Next, I can enter the floor plan viewing mode by tapping the floor plan button in the bottom dock. Zooming in slightly by pinching my fingers, I can use the slider in the bottom right-hand corner to adjust the elevation that I am viewing on the first floor of the floor plan. If I want to change the floor level that I am viewing, I can do so by tapping the arrows in the bottom left-hand corner. And when I'm done viewing the floor plan, I can change my view using the dock in the bottom center of the screen. Next, let's take a look at the cross-section slider. So let's open the sidebar by tapping the circle button with the arrow in it at the top left-hand corner and select the option from the menu that says Cross-Section Slider. The cross-section slider is a feature that allows you to view the model from different views by cutting through different sides of the model. Here we are cutting through the top and side of the model to create a unique view that you wouldn't normally see. Let's close the cross-section slider, refresh the 3D overview, close the sidebar, and go into our next 3D viewing mode, which is the room view mode. The room view mode is an interactive first-person point of view, and I can get into this mode by tapping the room view button in the bottom dock, and you'll notice I now have a set of joysticks and soldering controls on either side of the screen. The joystick on the right-hand side allows me to rotate my camera, and the joystick on the left allows me to move my camera's position. Next to the joystick on the left-hand side, there are two arrows which allow me to adjust my camera's height. Let's go ahead and move our camera's height down slightly. Using a combination of these two joysticks, we can move our camera's position into the model and take a closer look at the design. Next, let's take a look at the interactive soldering controls. The first soldering feature is a camera gyro. This feature is the first button over the joystick on the right-hand side. The camera gyro lets you look around the model without touching the screen by simply tilting or rotating your device to change the camera's orientation. The second soldering feature is the walkthrough model feature, which is the second button over the joystick on the left and lets you navigate through the model by physically walking and holding your device. The third soldering feature is the dynamic camera height feature. This feature is the first button over the joystick on the left. This feature allows your camera's height to dynamically change as you navigate through the model, which lets your camera fly into different parts of the model or allows the user to dynamically maneuver through different elevations in the model, such as going up or down a flight of stairs. And the fourth Sojourn feature is a background camera, which is the second button over the joystick on the right-hand side. When you turn this feature on, the app is going to use the actual camera on the device to capture live surroundings of your environment and insert them as a backdrop into the model. This allows you to see what looking out actual openings such as windows will look like. Next, let's take a look at some saved cameras. If you've exported a 3D viewer model from Chief Architect version X10, you can elect to export any saved camera views you would like to draw extra attention to. In the mobile 3D viewer app, we can view these saved cameras by opening the sidebar and on the view panel select cameras and then tap on our cameras to quickly navigate to specific scenes in the model. Next, let's take a look at some additional settings by tapping the Settings panel in the sidebar. The first setting is About, where you can see what version of the 3D viewer you are using and link to Chief Architect's website. Next is the Help menu, where you can access the help documentation for more information on how to use the 3D viewer. Next is Cloud, where you can see the Chief Architect Cloud account you are logged into or log out of your account. If you are not yet logged into your account, you can also log in here. The next settings available to us are the View settings. Here you can specify whether the mini-map in the top right-hand corner rotates as you turn your view, or whether the mini-map remains static and your blue location triangle indicator dynamically changes as you move in the model. You can also choose whether you want to display or hide the mini-map altogether here. Our next view setting is whether or not we want to display shadows. If we navigate to an area of our plan where we have more lighting, you will notice that we have shadows displaying. This setting will turn off or on the display of shadows. And the last view setting is anti-aliasing, which helps improve the quality of the render. If you are viewing the 3D viewer model on an older device and are experiencing performance issues, you may consider turning off anti-aliasing, shadows, and switch the render quality to low definition. And if you are still experiencing performance issues, you can further troubleshoot by exporting the model from Chief Architect Premiere or Interiors with a lower surface count and smaller texture size. The next series of settings is our input settings. These settings allow us to hide the display of our on-screen controls, or connect the app with a Bluetooth game controller to navigate through the model with a video game controller instead of the on-screen controls. You can also fine-tune your step length for using the Sojourn walkthrough model feature, and you can also fine-tune the sensitivity of your joysticks or invert the Y-axis joystick. When the invert Y-axis setting is not checked, when you move the joystick on the right up, you look up, and when you move it down, you look down. Having this setting checked reverses that, so that when you move the joystick on the right up, you look down, and when you move the joystick down, you look up. The next setting you can specify is whether your units are in metric or imperial units, which impact your plan views, and the last setting is rate, where you can rate 3D Viewer on the Google Play Store or App Store. And at any time you can select Chief Architect 3D Viewer from the top of the screen to be redirected to Chief Architect's website. And that's going to wrap up the 3D Viewer. So next, let's go over the third VR feature available in Chief Architect, which allows you to set up a virtual reality room to create realistic experiences using virtual reality headsets and sensors, which allows the client to interact with the virtual models of your designs closer than ever before. And the first piece of equipment you need to do this is a virtual reality headset. These headsets have a screen inside of them, and you connect the headset to your computer and it displays the 3D view from Chief Architect to the headset which allows a client to closely look around the model, and we'll talk about this more in a minute. And these headsets can be purchased online or at most electronic stores. The second piece of equipment you need is virtual reality sensors. These sensors are typically bundled with the headset, and the sensors will track the headset's movement as you turn and walk around the room. These sensors get plugged into your computer, and once plugged into your computer, you will need to download and set up an application called Steam, which is a free application, and Steam essentially allows Chief Architect, Premiere, or Interiors to communicate with your virtual reality sensors and headset. And in Steam, you'll also map out your virtual reality space, so how big the room is and where the sensors are located at in the room. Once you have this set up, you can go back into Chief, get into a 3D view, and enter virtual reality by going to 3D and then virtual reality. On this next dialog, you can see information on your video card, and when you are ready, have the client put on the headset and click Toggle Virtual Reality to enter virtual reality. Your initial view and position in the virtual model is based on your 3D camera view in Chief, so you'll want to make sure you have the 3D camera in the desired starting point. Your camera starting height in the virtual model is based on the headset's real physical height off the floor, which is calculated using the sensors you've already set up in your virtual reality room. When in virtual reality mode, your movement in the virtual model is solely based on your physical movements in the real world. So as you physically walk around the virtual reality room, you'll walk around the model. And similarly, as you turn your head to look around the design, the sensors will detect the headset turning and your view in the model will rotate. While all this is happening in the headset for the client, the views can be relayed back to your computer so you can see what the client sees, and it's an interactive way for you and the client to discuss the proposed project. The client can provide you with feedback on the design, and the client will certainly have had a fun time using virtual reality to see what the project will look like. And as we wrap up this demonstration, let's review the 3 virtual reality features available from Chief Architect that you can integrate into your marketing, design, and sales process. The first is 360 panoramic images, which are photorealistic images that allow you to view an entire virtual scene in high amounts of detail. The second is 3D viewer models, which are actual 3D models that the viewer can walk around and interact with to understand a design. Both these options can be viewed in a web browser or mobile device, and both options can be embedded on your website to show any potential clients that visit your website the type of work and services that you provide. And the third virtual reality feature is the ability to integrate a full virtual reality lab into your design and sales process, so your clients can put on a virtual reality headset and immerse themselves in the design to understand what the completed project will look like. And that's going to conclude today's demonstration, and we'll send you a replay of this demonstration if you need to review any of the material discussed today. There are 2 program options available. The first is Chief Architect Interiors, which is a great option if you are an interior designer designing kitchens, bathrooms, and other interior rooms. The second option is our flagship program, Chief Architect Premiere, which will include all the tools and features of Chief Architect Interiors, plus more tools for full residential and light commercial design. All new purchases and upgrades include 1 year of support and software assurance, which provides priority phone tech support, premium catalogs including manufacturer's content, new version releases, discounts on additional licenses, and other benefits. The software can be purchased as a one-time outright purchase or rented monthly as needed, and if rented for 18 consecutive months for Premiere or 12 consecutive months for Interiors, you will own your license outright. I would like to thank you for attending this demonstration, and we will be emailing you a replay of this demonstration later today, and if you have any questions, please let us know, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.